What would you say is the most expensive lesson you've learned since starting your business?
The quick and easy first lesson is I thought it'd be super simple to. Thank you.
I love your focus on efficiency. I know something I'm trying to figure out more as well is just like how to automate things and figuring out different ways. Even like something as simple as I now try to do almost all my quote unquote meetings or calls like just on the phone versus Zoom, because then I can walk and talk and I don't have to actually be sit at a computer. But so like little things like that. Are there any ways that you figured out like productivity hacks like that in your own life or your own business?
Yeah, I know. And I think you have to kind of know what your motivation is in order to, have something like this be a principle, because like, if you don't have it as a principle, you're not going to figure it out, because efficiency isn't like a protocol you can read and then just apply it. Like efficiency is so customized to how you do business.
Totally.
So you really need to have like the mindset for it in order to figure out where your inefficiencies are and to constantly be changing them. And for myself, a big motivation for this mindset is just wanting to always keep our prices as affordable as possible. And so it's like the more time that we're working on our practice, like we need to be paid for that time. And so then it keeps the price higher for what the patient's going to pay for. So if we can reduce the inefficiencies, reduce the amount of time that we're spending outside of an appointment, then we don't need to charge as much for that appointment. And then it's more accessible to everyone. Like my mom, when we were growing up, she could not see natural providers. She could only see who her insurance would pay for. And I don't want that to be the case. And it usually is the case for functional medicine at this time. So that's one of the reasons why it's so important that I'm always finding ways to make things more efficient. But some hacks for making things efficient would be writing down everything that you say. So we have a document called client communication. And when people have asked us something over and over again, then I think through like what the best response is going to be. I put it in that document so that the next time we get asked that question, it's just copy and paste. So like we have that for, hey, I had to take antibiotics, anything special I need to do, or I'm starting to have really bad allergies and my doctor said I should get on steroids. Do you have something else I could do? Or COVID. So, we had to start creating new ones and we're continuing to create new ones because like, I've got COVID. What do I do about it? And if we're trying to like think through like, what's the best thing to do each time, then, that's really going to take time. And so we can have things that we copy and paste, and then we can always, customize it a little bit based on what's going on with that patient. And then same thing on the business level. If I'm telling my employees something over and over again, it gets put somewhere. And then I tell them at our team meetings, hey, go and read this. That's available now. That's, you always look at whatever resources we have first before asking me a question. So I utilize Trello, the project management tool. It's the cheaper sister of Asana. And so anything that I want my employees to do, then it goes on a Trello card. And then I can see that they've done it. If they have a question about it, they comment on the card. So we're not doing like ad hoc communication. That's like, what was that in regards to again? Or, having to go spend time like looking up what they're talking about. It's like all on that card relates to that project. I can see when it's done. They don't have to email me and let me know. And then I have to read the email. And then I could just move it to the done column. And then they know that I've reviewed it and that I've approved it, and then they can get rid of it. So it just kind of helps us to like be able to move through things without having to like do meetings and be on the phone and email and all that kind of stuff.
Are you sure you weren't a programmer in your past lifetime? Because like,
no, I don't even really know what a programmer is.
you're so structured and project management system oriented. And I love it. Like, I almost want to take a peer into like your documents and see how this is all organized, but I think it's great. I know you have a belief as well in terms of like knowing what you stand for and what kind of results a patient might expect out of being with you or working with you. Can you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah. So this kind of gets into branding stuff, is kind of knowing what your culture is. And that makes it a lot easier for people to refer to you because they know what experience that person they refer to is going to get, because they know that that's something you stand for. It's not just like something that just happened to be that day. So I do think that, working on clear messaging helps to make your brand more clear, which makes it feel safer to send your loved one or friend over to that brand. So our clear messaging is that we are a judgment-free zone, that we are always going to help you to focus on the positive. It's so easy when, showing someone your food journal. So you'd be like really nervous and be like, I'm not going to put the Reese's on there. And I'm not going to put the fact that I added half and half to my coffee and I'm supposed to be dairy free, or, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, if we're not vulnerable, if we're not transparent, we're not really going to transform. So we have to always reinforce in each appointment, like, this is a judgment-free zone. We're not going to judge you, and we're going to help you to stop judging yourself in order for it to be totally judgment-free. And we always focus on the positive. So it's not like, I want to stop having joint pain. It's like, I want to have joint comfort. So we're going to help people with like the languaging to stay more positive and think about what you do want in your life. And then we're always trying to get to the deepest root causes. So that's why we're going to talk a lot about mental and emotional health rather than just physical. And I think that's a big draw for a lot of people to our practice, because it's not something a lot of people are doing. And that's usually one of the deepest root causes. It's like people talk about root causes in functional medicine, like, oh, well, maybe your gut infection is what's really causing your food sensitivities or really causing your bloating. And it's like, yeah, but what caused that gut infection? Why did the immune system allow that thing to live there? There's probably some type of stress going on, suppressing the immune system that we need to address. So we're always going deeper. And then the last one is the least amount of effort and intervention for the most amount of results. Which again, I think is something that differentiates us from a lot of other functional medicine practitioners. So it's like, if this test is not absolutely needed for you to feel better than you do today, we're not running it right now. If this supplement is not needed for you to, make progress from where you are today, we're not going to add it. So like, we just start with like the most foundational things. Let's see how you improve. Okay, that's not going away. Now we'll add in something. So we're trying to reduce the overwhelm, the cost, and make it, again, more accessible, more approachable for people.
If you're not transparent, it's not transformational. I love that statement.
Thank you.
I do. It says a lot to the fact of, if we're not honest with ourselves, especially, but also with the people that we're working with, then how can we expect transformational results? I'm going to use that.
Feel free.
What would you say is the most expensive lesson you've learned since starting your business?
Oh man, there's a few of them. Let me think of the one I want to talk about. Should I talk about two?
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. The quick and easy first lesson is, I thought it'd be super simple to trademark. So like, I purchased a trademark lawyer online and I was like, here's the program that I have, let's trademark it. And then he was like, yeah, no, you can't use that term. And I was like, well, there's no term like it. And he's like, well, this one's close enough, so you can't use it. I was like, okay, fine. Then how about this one? And we've gone back and forth like 4 times. I just don't have anything that can be trademarkable, and I've spent a good amount of money on it. So I would say that's definitely been one, is like, I need to have known better what it actually means to trademark something, rather than just be all gung ho about like, I've got something original. And then the second thing that has really been definitely the most expensive, not only in terms of financial cost, but emotional cost, has been not knowing how to hire. It has been a painful process to figure that out. So I have gone through, let's see, I've had 6 hires and 1 contractor. And I have 3 employees right now. So it's been a 50% effectiveness rate, which is not something I'm satisfied with. So I had to kind of figure out, like I was saying before, like how to apply the whole like systems and processes, and, being intentional and thinking about excellence to something that I'd never done before, that I'd never gone to school for before, never been around. And so I didn't know what I didn't know until I had gone through the process and hired people that were not good fits, and they weren't getting the support that they needed from me, or the freedom. I wasn't getting the results that I needed from them, and that causes a heck of a lot of stress.
What's the best advice you could give for somebody that they were trying to hire their first employee?
I would say knowing exactly what it is that you're looking for, so that you can articulate it. So like, my job description got so much better between each hiring round. So I didn't really know, like, I know now like what my brand is, but like, I didn't know what the brand of like my work culture was. Like, I knew what it was with the patient, but I didn't really know what that was with my work culture. So I probably could have figured it out if I like really, scheduled off a couple of hours and just like sat and thought through it. I'm just really not good about sitting and thinking. Really good at doing. So it took like finding out what wasn't working over and over again to know what it was that I was actually looking for.
Hmm.
And then I was able to create a job description and interview questions, and even use like an employment questionnaire that would let me know if I was actually finding what I was looking for.
I think your error towards action versus thinking has obviously got you to where you are today. So I wouldn't count that off at all. But
True.
I do have another question on top of that then though too, is that what relationships do you feel like have been the most important in terms of building and scaling your business? Is there one or two in particular that you feel like have just really made the biggest result in helping you grow?
Yeah, there is. I did back in March of, geez, I think it was 2020, the B School by 𝗪𝗡𝗺𝗪. And so it stands for a business school. And it's like a 2-month online program. It's offered once a year. Everyone does it live together. And the content is like rolled out each week. And it walks you through a lot of some of what I've talked with you guys today about how to get clear on your messaging, how to know your brand, how to communicate that and make that obvious to other people, how to create a website that's going to speak to your ideal client rather than just be like a resume. And so I learned a lot of that through that program. Systems, I learned systems through that. So I would say that that was a big one. And then in person, I've had a fellow business owner. We actually used to work together at a physical therapy practice. And since then, we've both gone on and started our own businesses. And she's already got like over 20 employees running a physical therapy practice. And she's been doing it for like 4 years. So hers went really fast and she's doing so well. And so I've sat with her a couple of times to be like, oh my gosh, I just want to go back to being a single practitioner. I cannot handle this anymore. And then she like talks me through it and lets me know like, oh, actually what you're experiencing is pretty normal. And then gives me some of her tips that she's learned. So that's been just good to have like a little cheerleader in my corner.
That's huge. No, that's amazing. Just to have, I mean, there's so much of that is comes down to like she's also instilling belief in you and well as well.
Yes.
In that like
Mhm.
she's like, yeah, you can do this. Like, what are you so concerned about?
Yes, that's definitely what you need. The belief, the mindset, doesn't matter if that's, with how you approach your hiring process, if that's how you approach talking about yourself as a business or what you're sharing with your clients. Like that's really what all of this comes down to, because if you don't have the beliefs and the mindset, then you can have the best advice in the world. It doesn't do anything.
Totally.
So regardless of what your area of healthcare is, like if you've been neglecting that, then you're leaving a lot of value to patients on the table.
I love that. I love the focus towards patients. I have one final question. Before I ask that question though, tell people where they can find you.
So I'm going to be rebranding the business. So that's not just my name. So eventually that will go to a different website. And then you can also just find me on Facebook and Instagram. It's just 𝗤𝗍𝗫𝗄𝗃 on Instagram, and it's 𝗤𝗍𝗫𝗄𝗃 Wellness on Facebook.
And are you rebranding because you want to be under a business name versus your own name?
Yeah, I want it to be when people come to our practice, they feel just as motivated to see any of the providers and not just myself. So I want it to be more of a team and a collaboration rather than like the one girl who knows it all. And then you can like go see her minions, like I don't want that. But I want that ideal in people's heads. And I feel like when it's called after my name, that's how people are going to think of it.
Well, you're incredibly business minded, just having that mentality behind it. So kudos to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Final question. So let's say you were to start over, beginning stages, you just wanted to get going. Maybe you just got out of school. You wanted to start your practice. What's maybe the best piece of advice you could give to your past self or somebody else in a similar situation to just kind of get started and get moving?
Have someone that you could talk to about the process. So you don't have to learn all these lessons through tears and pain. So have someone who is a few steps ahead of you that you could both get advice from, as well as be able to see your blind spots and, get encouragement from.
I love that. We're so blinded by the things that we don't know. 𝗤𝗍𝗫𝗄𝗃, thank you. Appreciate you being on the show. We'll make sure to put everything in the show notes. And until next time, thanks.
Thank you so much for having me.